Hey, welcome to Life Groups. Over the last few weeks, we've been going through a series called The 40 Before, in which we focus on Jesus' last days leading up to the crucifixion. In the first week, we talked about the Last Supper. We sat around a table, ate food, and we talked about and took communion. In week 2, we talked about Jesus' prayer in the garden and how he told the disciples to stay alert and to be in prayer for what was coming. Week 3, we talked about Judas' betrayal of Jesus. It was interesting that Judas didn't act alone, but Satan, who was in him, guided him to betray Jesus. I talked to you about how when you open yourself up to things of evil, it will invade your life and it will get you acting terrible. This week, we're going to focus on the trials of Jesus. He didn't go to trial just one time like you or I would if we committed a crime. He had to go through 7 trials before he was put on a cross. Have you ever been accused of doing something that you didn't do? I know my poor kids get accused by their siblings all the time for doing things that they didn't really do. One will fall and the other would have come and tell me that they got pushed. And through some intense interrogations, I find out that no one pushed the other, but that they just fell. They just like to get each other in trouble in that way. It wasn't long ago, though, that I was the accuser. Someone had given me a gift card for pastor appreciation, and I had laid it on my dresser. My kids go in my room often, and Wyatt is notorious for messing with things on my dresser. On my way to the restroom one evening, I passed by and I noticed that the cardboard that was holding the gift card was empty. There, laying by itself, all alone and covered in the sticky glue, was the cardboard screaming, "It's gone! My coveted gift card is gone!" I went on a hunt. I turned my dresser upside down and inside out to find where the gift card was. When I came up empty, I turned to Wyatt and I said, "I know that you did something with it. Where is it?" He looked at me confused and said, over here." He began pointing in all sorts of directions, and when we would search in that area, we would find that it wasn't there. He continued to do this for about 20 minutes, and finally I said to him, "It's okay, buddy. You're not in trouble, but I know you played with the card, and I need to know where it is." He again looked at me confused and said that he wasn't sure what he did with it. I watched as he hurried around the house trying to locate the whereabouts of my card. In couch cushions, underclothes, in his toy bin, and all searches turned up empty. I saw over and over again this look of shame on his face. He was very sorry that he lost the card. He wanted to find it for me, but he was unable to do so. Exhausted and frustrated with Wyatt, I went and I sat on the couch. I thought, maybe by happenstance I picked up the card at some point and I put it in my wallet. I was sure I didn't, but it was worth a glance, so I pulled my wallet out and there it was in one of my front pockets, the gift card. Guess who felt bad now? I called Wyatt into the room and I showed him the gift card. He was thrilled Daddy found it. He wasn't in trouble anymore. Feeling terrible for the false accusation, I took him, put him on my lap, and I told him how very sorry I was that I accused him of something that he didn't do. The results of the accusations against Jesus didn't turn out so well for him. In the middle of the night, he was betrayed by his friend and turned over to around 1,000 Roman soldiers. He was taken first to Cephas, then to Caiaphas, and then to the whole of the religious leaders. They found him guilty of blasphemy. He claimed that he was God. They knew that they couldn't put him to death for blasphemy, so they took him to the Romans and declared that he was guilty of treason. See, the Romans believed that their king, Caesar, was God, and any threat to Caesar would surely be met with death. It was Passover, and Rome didn't want this mess on their hands at the moment, so they sent him to Herod, the Jewish king. Herod really only wanted to see Jesus' tricks or miracles, and when he didn't perform like a circus monkey, he sent Jesus back to the Roman authority, Pilate. Pilate, still trying not to get involved, gave the people in the courtyard the ability to vote. The courtyard was full of the religious leaders who wanted Jesus dead, so the vote of course did not go in Jesus' favor. He was sentenced to die on a cross for treason. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were the one being falsely accused in either Wyatt's account or in Jesus' account, I would have spoken up and said, "I didn't do it." Neither did, however. Wyatt decided the path of least resistance would do for him, and he quickly went about trying to find the card. And at the end, because he didn't argue with me, he found a gracious daddy who was very sorry. Jesus was silent because he had already made his request in the garden. There he asked God to take away the need for death if at all possible. And knowing that it was not possible, he knew he had to die. In your life groups tonight, I want you to take a moment and talk about a time in which you were accused of something that you didn't do. How did you react? How did it all turn out? And what if you would have reacted differently? Would the outcome have changed? Thanks again for coming tonight. I pray that you have a meaningful discussion in your life group.